Miss Brill, although it was so brilliantly fine. The blue sky bordered with gold and gray balls of light like white wings splashed over the gentle paprikas. Miss Brill was glad that she had decided on her fur. The air was motionless, but when you opened your mouth there was just a faint chill, like a chill from a glass of iced water before you sip, and now and again a leaf came drifting from not here, from the sky. Miss Brill put up her hand and touched her fur. Dear little thing, it was nice to feel it again. She had taken it out of its box that afternoon, shaking out the mouse powder, giving it a good brush, and rubbed the life back into the dim little eyes. "What has been happening to me?" said the sad little eyes. Oh, how sweet it was to see them snapped at her again from the red eljon. But the nose, which was of some black composition, wasn't at all firm. It must have had a knock, somehow. Never mind. A little dab of black sealing wax when the time came, when it was absolutely necessary. Little Roge. Yes, she really feels like that about it. Little Rogue beating its tail just by her left ear. He could have taken it off and laid it on her lap and stroked it. She felt a tightening in her hands and arms. But that came from walking, she supposed. And when she breathed, something light and sad. No, not sad, exactly. Something gentle seemed to move in her bosom. There was a number of people out of this morning, far more than last Sunday, and the band sounded louder and gayer. That was because the season had begun. For although the band played all the year round on Sundays, out of season it was never the same. It was like someone playing with only the family to listen. It didn't care how it played if there weren't any strangers present. Wasn't the conductor wearing a new coat too? She was sure it was new. He scrubbed with his foot and flattened his arm like a rooster about to crow. And the bushmen sitting in the green rotan blew out their cheeks and glared at the music. Now there came a little fluty, bit very pretty, a little chain of bright drops. She was sure it would be repeated. It was. She lifted her hand and smiled. Only two people shared her special seat. A fine old man in a velvet coat, his hand clasped over a huge carved walking stick, and a big old woman sitting upright, with a row of kidney on her embroidered apron. They did not speak. This was disappointing, for Miss Brill always looked forward to the conversation. She had become really quite an expert, she thought, at listening though she didn't listen, at sitting in other people's lives just for a minute while they talked around her. She glanced sideways at the old couple. Perhaps they would go soon. Last Sunday too hadn't been as interesting as usual. An Englishman and his wife. He wearing a dreadful Panama hat and she button boots. And she gone on the whole time about how she ought to well spectacles. She needed them, but that it was no good getting any. They'd be sure to break and they never keep on. And he'd been so patient. He suggested everything. Gold rings, the king that curled round the ears. Little paths inside the bridge. No, nothing would please her. They will always be sliding down my nose. Miss Brill had wanted to shake her. The old people sat on the bench, still as states. Never mind, there was always the crowd to watch, to and fro, in front of the flower bed and the band rotten. The couples and the groups paraded, stopped to talk, to greet, to buy a handful of flowers from the old beggar who had his tribal fixed to the railings. Little children ran among them, swooping and laughing. Little boys with big white skills both under her chins. Little girls, little French dolls, dressed up in violets and lace. And sometimes a tiny stranger came suddenly rocking into the open from under the trees, stopped, styled, and suddenly sat down. Floop. Until a small high stepped in mother, like a young hen, rushed scolding to its rescue. Other people sat on the bench and green chairs, but they were nearly always the same, Sunday after Sunday, and Miss Brill had often noticed there was something funny about nearly all of them. They were old, silent, nearly all old, and from the way they stared they looked as though they'd just come from dark little rooms or even cupboards. Behind the rotund, the slender trees with yellow leaves down dropping, and through them just a line of sea, and beyond the blue sky with gold winged clouds. Tom, 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 tide on, tide on, belonged the band. Two young girls in red came by, and two young soldiers in blue met them, and they laughed and piled and went off arm in arm. Two peasant women with funny straw hats passed, gravely, leading beautiful smoke-colored donkeys. A cold, pale gnome hurried by. A beautiful woman came along and dropped her bunch of violets, and a little boy ran after to hand them to her, and she took them and threw them away as if they'd been pounced. Dear me, Miss Brill didn't know whether to admire that or not. And now a amateur and a gentleman in grey met just in front of her. He was tall, stiff, dignified, and she was wearing a email turquoise boat when her hair was yellow. Now everything, her hair, her face, even her eyes, was the same color as the shabby email army. And her hand, in its clenched glove, lifted to dab her lips, was a tiny yellow paw. Oh, she was so pleased to see him, delighted. She rather thought they were going to meet that afternoon. She described where she'd been. Everywhere, here, there, along by the sea. The day was so charming. Didn't he agree? And wouldn't he perhaps? But he shook his head, lighted a cigarette, slowly brushed a great deep push into her face, and even while she was still taking and laughing, flicked the match away and walked on. The ermine twig was alone. She smiled more brightly than ever, but even the band seemed to know what she was feeling and played more softly, played tenderly, and drummed beat. The brute, over and over. What would she do? What was going to happen now? But as Miss Brill wondered, the Emperor turned, raised her hand as thought she'd seen to someone else, much nicer, just over there, and pattered away, and the band changed again and played more quickly, more gaiety than ever. And then the old couple in Miss Brill's seat got up and marched away, and such a funny man with long whiskers hobbled along in time to the music and was nearly knocked over by 4 girls walking abreast. Oh, how fantastic it was! How she enjoyed it! How she loved sitting there, watching it all! It was like a play. It was exactly like a play. Who could believe the sky at black wasn't painted? But it wasn't. Still a little brown dog trotted on so man and then slowly dropped off, like a little tree dog, a little dog that has been drugged. That Miss Brill discovered what it was that made it so exciting. They were all on the stage. They weren't only the audience, not only looking on. They were acting. Even she had a part and came every Sunday. No doubt somebody were acting. Somebody would have noticed if she hadn't been there. She was part of the performance after all. How strange, she never thought of it like that before, and yet it explained why she made such a point of stealing from home at just the same time each week, so as not to be late for the performance. And it was also explained why she had quite a queer, shy feeling at telling her English pupils how she spent her Sunday afternoon. No wonder Miss Brill nearly laughed out loud. She was on the stage. She thought of the old invalid gentleman to whom she read the newspaper 4 afternoons a week while she slept in the garden. She had got quite used to the firehead on the cotton pillow, the hollow eyes, the open mouth, and the high pink chest nose. If he had been dead, she Mating had noticed for weeks, she wouldn't have minded. But suddenly he knew he was having the paper read to him by an actress. The old had lifted. 2 points of light quivered in the old eyes. An actress, are ye? And Miss Brill smoothed the newspaper as though it were the manuscript of her part and said gently, "Yes, I have been an actress for a long time." The band had been having a rest. Now they started again, and what they played was warm, sunny, Yet there was just a facing chill, a something. What was it? Not sadness, no, not sadness. Something that made you want to sing. A tune lifted. The light shone, and it seemed to Miss Brill that in another moment of all of them, all the whole company, who began singing, the young ones, the laughing ones who were moving together, they would begin, and man's voice, very resolute and brave, would join them. And then she too, and the other on the benches. They would come in with a kind of accompaniment, something low, that scarcely rose or fell, something so beautiful, moving. And Miss Bell's eyes filled with tears, and she looked smiling at the other members of the company. Yes, we understand. She thought what they understood she didn't know. Just at the moment, a boy and a girl came and sat down where the old couple had been. They were beautifully dressed. They were in love, the hero and heroine. Of course, just arrived from his father's yacht, and still sat soundlessly singing. Still with a trembling smile, Miss Brill prepared to listen. No, not now, said the girl. Not here, I can't. But why? Because of the stupid old things at the end there? Asked the boy. Why does she come here at all? Who wants her? Why doesn't she keep her silly old mug at home? It's her fur which is so funny, killing the girl. It's exactly like a failed whiting. Ah, be off with you, said the boy in an angry whisper. Then, tell me, my paper trail. No, not here, said the girl. Not yet. On her way home, she usually bought a slice of honey cake at the baker's. It was her Sunday treat. Sometimes there was an almond in her slice, sometimes not. It made a great difference. If there was an amount, it was like carrying home a tiny present, a surprise, something that might very well not have been there. She hurried on the amount Sunday and struck the march for the kettle in quite a dashing way. But today, she passed the baker's by, climbed the stairs, went into the little dark room, her room like a cupboard, and sat down on the red angel. She sat there for a long time. The box had the fur come out was on the bed. She unclapped the neck quickly, without looking, laid it inside. But when she put the lid on,